Before we go any further, let me clearly say this. This is the final video of our hemoglobin series. Over the past few weeks, we've taken a structured journey together. In week 1, we laid the foundation, what hemoglobin is and why low levels quietly damage the body. In week 2, we identified the real causes, nutritional, medical, and hidden blood loss, and how doctors diagnose them. In week 3, we discussed safe, evidence-based treatment and recovery. And now, in week 4, we reached the most overlooked part of this entire process. Not treatment, not diagnosis, maintenance. Because here's the reality most people discover too late. Hemoglobin is often fixed, and then slowly lost again. Not because people don't care, not because they ignore health, but because no one teaches them how to live in a way that protects hemoglobin long-term. This final episode exists so you don't have to restart this journey 6 months or a year from now. Why this discussion comes first in the final video. This discussion about hemoglobin is intentionally first, because food patterns decide whether everything you've learned so far actually lasts. Medications can raise hemoglobin. Supplements can correct deficiencies. But only daily eating habits prevent relapse. And this is where most people go wrong. They ask, what iron food should I eat? When the real question is, what does my average week look like? Hemoglobin doesn't respond to effort. It responds to consistency, and that's what we're building here. Most hemoglobin relapses don't happen suddenly. They happen quietly. Energy dips slightly, meals become irregular, coffee replaces breakfast, protein becomes optional. And because symptoms creep in slowly, people don't notice until a blood test does. Here's the key insight. Your body produces red blood cells every single day. That process requires iron, protein, vitamin B12, folate, vitamin C, not occasionally. Not when you remember. Repeatedly. Predictably. Weekly. This is why people who eat healthy still develop anemia again. Their diet lacks structure, not nutrition. So we stop chasing perfect meals, and we start building reliable systems. Let's simplify this without oversimplifying it. A hemoglobin-supportive meal is not one ingredient. It is a functional combination. Think of your plate in 4 roles. The iron anchor. Every main meal needs a visible iron source. Examples: lean red meat, turkey, chicken thighs, fish like sardines or salmon, lentils, beans, tofu, chickpeas. This does not mean large portions, it means presence. No iron anchor equals weak foundation. The protein stabilizer. This is where many diets quietly fail. Red blood cells are protein-based structures. Low protein intake weakens recovery, even with iron present. Reliable sources: eggs, poultry, fish, Greek yogurt, legumes paired with grains. Iron without protein is incomplete work. The absorption booster. Iron does not absorb well on its own. Vitamin C-rich foods significantly improve uptake. Citrus, bell peppers, tomatoes, berries, lemon or vinegar added to meals. This is not supplementation. This is strategic pairing. The timing protector. Some foods don't harm iron, but when you eat them matters. Common blockers: coffee, black tea, excess calcium, unnecessary antacid use. You don't have to eliminate them. You have to schedule them wisely. This is not a rigid meal plan. It is a pattern you can repeat without thinking. Breakfast. Protect the morning. Most hemoglobin damage happens before noon. Coffee on an empty stomach. No protein, no minerals. Better options: eggs with vegetables, oatmeal with seeds and fruit, Greek yogurt with berries, tofu scramble, protein-based smoothies. One simple rule: protein before caffeine. That alone protects iron absorption long-term. Lunch. The anchor meal. Lunch should be your most intentional meal. Why? Best digestion. Best absorption. Least likely to be skipped ideal structure. Iron anchor, solid protein, vitamin C-rich vegetable complex carbohydrate. This meal quietly decides your hemoglobin stability. Dinner. Support, not overload. Dinner is about maintaining balance. Think lighter proteins, cooked vegetables. Avoid tea or heavy desserts immediately afterward. Late, heavy dinners impair digestion, and that affects nutrient absorption over time. Snacks, the quiet decision makers. Snacks either support your week or cancel it. Helpful options: nuts and seeds. Yogurt with fruit timing matters. Boiled eggs. Hummus risky pattern, coffee plus sugar, energy drinks, empty carbs, snacks should stabilize energy, not replace meals. Let's be honest, you're not quitting coffee. You don't need to, you need rules, not guilt. Simple guidelines. Avoid coffee or black tea 1 hour before and 1 to 2 hours after iron-rich meals. Morning coffee is safest after breakfast. Herbal teas are generally fine. This adjustment alone prevents long-term depletion in many people. Vegetarians. Pair plant iron with vitamin C every time. Rotate protein sources. Monitor B12 periodically. Busy professionals. Repeating meals is not failure, it's strategy. Consistency beats variety. Meal prep beats motivation. Adults over 50, prioritize protein intake. Review long-term acid-suppressing medications with doctors. Smaller, frequent meals may absorb better. Hemoglobin does not collapse suddenly. It erodes slowly. When routines weaken, you don't need perfection. You need predictable habits. A structured breakfast. A solid lunch. A supportive dinner. Smart timing. That's how hemoglobin stays stable years after treatment ends. In the next discussion, we'll expose the most common mistakes that undo all of this effort, often while people believe they're doing everything right. And many of those mistakes are hiding in plain sight. Stay with me. What you've just learned gives you a solid structure, a way of eating that quietly supports healthy hemoglobin over time. But here's where things get tricky. Because many people follow good routines and still watch their hemoglobin fall again. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly enough that no one notices until the blood test does. This part of the video exists for one reason: to protect you from mistakes that feel harmless, look healthy, and undo months of progress. The most dangerous mistake, the "I'm fine now" phase. This is where most relapses begin. You feel better. Your energy improves. The dizziness disappears. The lab report shows improvement. And slowly, without any conscious decision, meals become irregular. Supplements are stopped too early. Follow-up tests get delayed. Health attention shifts elsewhere. The problem isn't stopping treatment. The problem is stopping awareness. Hemoglobin stability requires a maintenance mindset, not a recovery mindset. Let's talk about habits that seem minor, but compound over time. 1. Coffee or tea creeping back into empty mornings. Even when meals are decent later, repeated iron-blocking mornings weaken absorption week after week. 2. Calcium taken at the wrong time. Calcium is important, but taken alongside iron-rich meals, it competes for absorption. 3. Natural remedies without structure. Juices, powders, and home remedies are often inconsistent and replace proper meals instead of supporting them. 4. Protein being treated as optional. Low protein intake weakens red blood cell formation, even when iron intake seems adequate. None of these cause sudden drops, they cause slow erosion. Lifestyle errors that most people never connect to anemia. This surprises many viewers. Chronic undersleeping. Sleep deprivation disrupts hormone balance and nutrient utilization. Excessive cardio without recovery. Overtraining increases iron demand without replenishment. Crash dieting or repeated weight loss cycles. These strip nutrient reserves faster than they're rebuilt. Chronic dehydration. Reduced plasma volume affects oxygen transport efficiency. People often say, "But I'm exercising, but I'm eating clean." Clean does not always mean supportive. Some mistakes are uncomfortable to acknowledge. Ignoring the original cause. If the reason hemoglobin dropped is never addressed, relapse is almost guaranteed. Normalizing heavy menstrual bleeding. Many women accept abnormal blood loss as normal for years. Self-prescribing iron long-term. Unmonitored supplementation can mask deeper issues or cause imbalance. Avoiding doctors after one normal report. One good test does not equal long-term stability. Health maintenance is not avoidance. It is informed follow-up. Here's the perspective shift that prevents relapse. Hemoglobin doesn't fall because of one bad day. It falls because of small, repeated decisions that feel insignificant. One skipped meal, one extra coffee, one delayed test, one ignored symptom. Individually harmless, collectively damaging. And this is where many people feel frustrated because they're trying, but not protecting the system. Now, there's one more layer most people never consider, and it influences everything we just discussed. Stress, sleep, gut health, daily lifestyle pressure. These don't show up clearly on blood reports. but they decide how well your body actually uses what you eat. That's what we need to talk about next, because even the best meal plan fails in a body that's constantly under strain. And once you understand that connection, hemoglobin maintenance stops feeling complicated. It starts feeling manageable. Up to this point, we've talked about food patterns and common mistakes. Things that are visible, measurable, and easy to point out. But now we need to talk about something that doesn't show up clearly on a plate or a lab report. Because many people fix their diet, avoid the obvious mistakes, take supplements correctly, and still struggle to maintain healthy hemoglobin. This is where lifestyle and stress enter the picture, quietly, persistently, and often underestimated. Now question arises here, why hemoglobin is not just a food issue? Here's something most people are never told. Your body doesn't use nutrients in isolation. It uses them in the context of your nervous system, hormones, sleep, and digestion. Two people can eat the same diet. One maintains normal hemoglobin. The other doesn't. The difference is often how their body processes stress. When stress is constant, mental, emotional, physical, the body shifts into survival mode. And in survival mode, digestion is deprioritized. Nutrient absorption decreases, inflammation increases. Iron utilization becomes inefficient. You're eating correctly, but your body is not fully cooperating. Let's make this simple. Chronic stress increases cortisol. Elevated cortisol reduces stomach acid. Low stomach acid reduces iron absorption. This happens even if your diet looks perfect on paper. That's why people under constant pressure often say, "I eat well, but my levels never stay up." Stress doesn't have to feel dramatic. It can be constant deadlines, caregiving responsibilities, financial pressure, poor work-life boundaries, emotional burnout. Your body experiences all of these as a biological load. Sleep, the most ignored hemoglobin support tool. How? Sleep is not passive recovery. It is active repair. During deep sleep, red blood cell production is optimized. Hormonal balance is restored. Inflammation decreases. Chronic sleep deprivation disrupts these processes quietly. 6 hours of sleep may feel normal, but over months and years, it reduces the body's ability to rebuild efficiently. People often try to fix fatigue with more caffeine, more supplements, more motivation, when the real solution is consistent, restorative sleep. Next come to movement. Too little and too much both cause problems. Movement is essential, but extremes cause issues. Too little movement slows circulation, reduces oxygen efficiency, weakens metabolic support. Too much high-intensity exercise increases iron demand, elevates inflammation, raises risk of depletion if not supported nutritionally. The goal is not intensity. The goal is consistency and recovery. Walking, light strength training, mobility work. These support blood health without draining reserves. But what about gut health? The gatekeeper most people ignore. Iron absorption happens in the gut. If the gut is inflamed, irritated, or suppressed, absorption suffers. Common hidden issues: long-term antacid use, frequent bloating or reflux, IBS-type symptoms, chronic constipation or diarrhea. Many people normalize these issues and never connect them to anemia. But a compromised gut means iron passes through unused, supplements feel ineffective, levels rise briefly, then fall again. Supporting gut health is not a trend, it's a foundation. Now comes at the emotional side people don't talk about. There's another layer that matters, and it's rarely discussed. People with chronic low hemoglobin often develop health anxiety, fear of symptoms returning, frustration with repeated testing, emotional fatigue. This mental load increases stress hormones further, creating a loop. That's why long-term maintenance is not about control. It's about confidence, knowing what matters, knowing what doesn't, knowing when to act and when not to panic. At this point, a pattern should be clear. Food builds hemoglobin. Habits protect it. Lifestyle determines whether it lasts. When stress is unmanaged, sleep is inconsistent, movement is extreme or absent, and digestion is ignored, even the best meal plan eventually fails. But when these systems are aligned, maintenance becomes surprisingly simple. Now, there is one group of people for whom all of this becomes even more complex and far more personal: women. Hormones, monthly blood loss, pregnancy, cultural expectations, and life stages change the rules entirely. And unless these differences are acknowledged, hemoglobin relapse remains common and unfairly normalized. That's what we need to talk about next. Clearly, respectfully, and without minimizing real challenges. Up to this point, you've learned how food, daily routines, stress, sleep, and lifestyle patterns quietly shape long-term hemoglobin stability. But there's one group for whom these patterns interact with complex biological demands in ways that make relapse far more common and far more personal than many people realize. For thousands of women across the US, low hemoglobin and iron-related fatigue are normalized. They're shrugged off as just how life is, or normal period stuff, or busy life tired. But here's the truth. Low hemoglobin in women isn't just common, it's preventable, and relapses are not inevitable. We're about to dig into the why, when, and how, backed by real recommendations from national public health authorities, so you don't feel lost, confused, or dismissed by vague advice. Why it's different for women. The biology of women, especially in reproductive years, means iron and hemoglobin balance is influenced by multiple ongoing processes. Monthly menstrual blood loss leads to repeated iron losses even in healthy cycles. Pregnancy and postpartum phases dramatically increase iron requirements. Hormonal fluctuations influence nutrient absorption and energy levels. This is not weakness, it's physiology. And the first step toward control is understanding how hemoglobin needs differ across life stages. When it comes to preventing anemia in women of childbearing age, major U.S. health authorities recommend proactive monitoring and sensible follow-up. According to expert guidance used by public health providers in the U.S., all women between 15 and 25 years old should be screened for anemia at least once, even if they feel healthy. If risk factors are present, including heavy menstrual bleeding, frequent blood donation, or a history of low iron, screening should be more frequent, every 2 to 3 years, or as advised by a clinician. A hemoglobin concentration below about 12.0 grams DL in non-smokers is generally considered anemia. A follow-up blood test should confirm any suspected case before intervention. None of this requires dramatic action. It simply recognizes that prevention begins with awareness, not just reaction. Why heavy periods matter more than most people think. Let's talk about something many women hear silently but rarely discuss openly. Heavy menstrual bleeding, HMB. In clinical settings, HMB is identified as bleeding that lasts more than 7 days, requires frequent changes in menstrual products, produces large clots, causes fatigue or lightheadedness. These are not just symptoms. They represent significant iron loss, and over months and years, this repeated loss drains iron stores faster than the body can replace them through diet alone. A review of clinical guidelines shows that women with HMB should be treated proactively, including screening for anemia and early dietary and therapeutic planning, not dismissed as normal. Part of long-term prevention is recognizing that normal periods do not have to mean iron loss that silently erodes your energy and quality of life. Let's break down what your hemoglobin needs look like through life. 1. Teens. Growth increases iron demand. Dietary patterns often unstable. Early fatigue is too often dismissed as teen life. Even in this stage, national recommendations call for iron screening and dietary guidance to prevent long-term deficiency trends. 2. Reproductive years. Monthly losses need regular replenishment. Pregnancy increases iron requirements significantly, up to 27 milligrams a day, recommended dietary intake during pregnancy by some NIH sources. Postpartum recovery continues the elevated need for months. 3. Perimenopause or post-childbearing years. Hormonal shifts influence iron absorption. Menstrual patterns can become irregular, making blood loss unpredictable. Across all these stages, awareness and simple proactive habits prevent multiple cycles of depletion. Many symptoms that women live with daily are signals, not excuses. You've probably heard or felt constant tiredness, exercise intolerance, pale skin, brain fog, hair thinning. These are not personality traits. They are physiological signals of insufficient oxygen delivery and poor iron balance. Major health organizations consider these important signs prompting evaluation, not things to push through. Understanding these signals lets you take action sooner, not later. What you should track, without obsession. Here's a practical plan that aligns with public health guidelines in the US. 1. Hemoglobin, HB, your core value. 2. Serum ferritin, your iron storage indicator. 3. Complete blood count, CBC, overall health marker. These tests are standard and inexpensive. They tell a story over time when interpreted together, not in isolation. Additionally, many health authorities recommend, for women planning pregnancy, consider a combined iron folate supplement, for example, iron approximately 30 mg plus folate 0.4 mg daily to reduce risk of deficiency. If iron stores are low but hemoglobin is normal, nutrition and follow-up can prevent deficiency. Tracking trends matters more than chasing one single number once. Now let's connect these recommendations to everyday life. 1. Pair iron with vitamin C. Scientifically proven to improve absorption. Vitamin C enhances non-heme iron uptake, the type found in plant foods, by making it easier for your gut to absorb iron. This is backed by absorption science and reflected indirectly in dietary counseling guidelines. Practical pairing examples: red lentils plus citrus salad, tofu plus bell peppers, beans plus tomatoes. 2. Time your coffee and tea around meals. Research shows that compounds in tea and coffee can block iron absorption when consumed with meals. Public health and nutrition recommendations explicitly advise avoiding tea or coffee at the same time as iron-rich meals. Make it a positive rule. Enjoy my coffee, just not with my iron. Small timing shifts make a real difference. 3. Consider supplements when recommended, but do it smartly. Official guidelines suggest that most women do not need routine iron supplements unless risk factors are present. However, for women with documented low ferritin, history of severe menstrual blood loss, pregnancy supplements including iron, approximately 30 mg per day for maintenance, higher under medical guidance, are recommended. This approach prevents unnecessary or excessive supplementation, which can cause digestive issues or interfere with other nutrients if not timed and monitored correctly. 4. Don't ignore unusual symptoms. They're data, not drama. If fatigue, dizziness, or paleness persists even after correcting a hemoglobin number once, that's not normal. Public health authorities urge confirmation with repeat testing and assessment of both hemoglobin and ferritin, not just one. Treat your symptoms as information, not something to endure quietly. 5. Build lifelong habits, not short-term fixes. The guidelines emphasize prevention, diet, periodic screening based on risk, and lifestyle conversations integrated into routine care, not crisis care. This means hemoglobin management is a lifestyle, not a project. You don't have to test every month, but you do need a rhythm. You don't take iron every day for life, but you plan for needs that change over time. Here's a simple, guideline-informed routine you can use. Annual blood test if you have risk factors or symptoms. Screen every 2 to 3 years if you're healthy and asymptomatic. Check ferritin when you see symptoms or after heavy losses. Use iron plus vitamin C food combinations. Time tea, coffee away from iron meals. Supplement only if advised and with professional guidance. This plan isn't fear-based. It's informed. It's backed by decades of public health recommendations, and it respects your life, not just your blood numbers. At this point, you might be thinking something important, and very reasonable. I understand food, habits, lifestyle, stress, and risk factors. But how do I monitor this without becoming anxious or dependent on constant testing? That question matters more than most people realize. Because long-term hemoglobin stability is not just about doing the right things, it's about knowing when to check, what to check, and when to step back. This section exists to replace confusion with clarity. Now the question arises at this point: WWE preventive checkups are not the same as panic testing. There are two extremes people fall into. One group avoids testing completely. I feel okay. I don't want bad news. I fixed it once already. The other group tests constantly. Every symptom triggers a lab test. Every number causes stress. Health becomes anxiety-driven. Neither approach protects long-term health. Medical guidelines consistently emphasize risk-based periodic monitoring, not avoidance and not obsession. According to U.S. public health recommendations, anemia screening and follow-up should be targeted, individualized, based on risk factors and symptoms, not fear. This balance is what keeps people stable for years. There is no single schedule for everyone, and that's intentional. Based on guidance used by organizations such as the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, USPSTF, and National Institutes of Health, NIH. A practical approach looks like this. For low-risk adults with no symptoms, hemoglobin check every 2 to 3 years, often part of routine wellness labs. For higher-risk individuals, including women with heavy periods, vegetarians, frequent blood donors, people with prior anemia, every 12 months, or sooner if symptoms return, After treatment for anemia, recheck within 2 to 3 months to confirm recovery. Then shift to maintenance level monitoring. The goal is not frequent testing. The goal is early detection before symptoms become severe. Now ask yourself which tests actually matter and which often don't. This is where many people get overwhelmed. Let's simplify it. Hemoglobin, HB, tells you how much oxygen carrying capacity your blood currently has. Useful, but not the whole story. A normal hemoglobin level does not always mean iron stores are healthy. Serum ferritin. This is one of the most underappreciated tests. Ferritin reflects iron storage, not just current levels. Medical literature consistently shows ferritin can be low even when hemoglobin appears normal. Low ferritin predicts future relapse if not addressed. That's why many clinicians consider ferritin essential for long-term prevention, especially in women and high-risk groups. Complete blood count, CBC, provides context, red cell size, distribution, overall blood health. It helps clinicians understand patterns, not just isolated numbers. There is another point that often stuck the mind. WA-normal doesn't always mean stable. This is a crucial concept. Lab reference ranges are population-based, not personalized. You can be technically normal, but trending downward or hovering just above deficiency. That's why trend tracking over time matters more than reacting to one report. Medical guidelines emphasize interpreting results in context, symptoms, history, risk factors, not in isolation. Now ask yourself when to follow up and when not to panic. The simple answer is you should consider follow-up if fatigue, dizziness, or breathlessness returns, hair loss or exercise intolerance worsens, periods become heavier or irregular, you've had a major blood loss, surgery, childbirth, donation. You do not need to panic if one value fluctuates slightly. You feel well and trends are stable. Your physician confirms no concerning pattern. Health maintenance is about pattern recognition, not perfection. For most people, a primary care physician is sufficient for monitoring and prevention. They can order labs, review trends, and guide dietary or supplement adjustments. Referral to a specialist, hematologist or gynecologist, may be appropriate if hemoglobin drops repeatedly without clear cause, ferritin remains low despite intervention, heavy menstrual bleeding is persistent, there is suspicion of absorption or chronic disease issues. According to NIH-aligned recommendations, routine iron supplementation is not advised for everyone. Supplements are appropriate when deficiency is confirmed or risk is high. Long-term unsupervised supplementation is discouraged. Why? Because excess iron can cause gastrointestinal issues, interfere with other nutrients, mask underlying problems. Monitoring ensures supplements support, not complicate, health. Here's a practical framework consistent with medical guidance. Routine labs based on risk, not anxiety. Ferritin included when there's history of deficiency, dietary focus first, supplements second. Lifestyle alignments, sleep, stress, digestion, doctor partnership, not avoidance. This approach aligns with long-standing public health principles used by NIH-supported clinicians and preventive care guidelines. Listen carefully. You don't need monthly blood tests, constant supplements, fear-based monitoring. You need only awareness, structure, periodic confirmation, trust in patterns, not panic. That's how hemoglobin stability becomes part of life, not a recurring crisis. At this point, everything is on the table. You understand what hemoglobin is, why it drops, how it's treated, how to eat for maintenance, what mistakes undo progress, how lifestyle and stress interfere, why women face unique challenges, how to monitor health intelligently. Now there's just one final piece left. A clear, calm, simplified recap, bringing the entire series together into one complete lifelong reference. That's what we'll close with. If you've stayed with me until here, I want you to pause for a moment. Because at this point you don't just know about hemoglobin anymore, you understand it. And that's an important difference. This final part is not meant to overwhelm you with new information. It's meant to connect everything you've learned into one clear, calm picture. Something you can carry with you long after this video ends. Think of this as your mental checklist, your long-term reference, your reminder of what actually matters. Hemoglobin problems don't begin with a low number on a lab report. They begin much earlier, with small nutritional gaps, with ignored fatigue, with unmanaged stress. with habits that slowly drift off course, and that's why fixing hemoglobin once is not enough. What truly protects you is understanding the full cycle. The 4 phases you've now mastered. Let's bring the entire series together. First, awareness. You learned what hemoglobin is and why it matters. Not as a medical term, but as the molecule that decides how well oxygen reaches your brain, muscles, and organs. Fatigue, dizziness, pale skin, breathlessness. These are not weaknesses. They are signals. Second, identifying the cause. You learned that low hemoglobin is not one disease. It can come from nutrient deficiencies, blood loss, chronic conditions, absorption problems, and that without identifying the root cause, treatment alone is temporary. This is where many people fail and where you no longer will. Third, safe treatment and recovery. You learned that treatment is not guesswork. Iron supplements, for therapy, transfusion, each has a role, a timing, and a medical context. You also learned that recovery must be monitored, not assumed. Raising hemoglobin is a process, not an event. Fourth, long-term maintenance. This is where most people struggle and where this final video focused. You learned how to eat in weekly patterns, not random healthy meals. Why consistency matters more than intensity. How small mistakes quietly undo progress. Why stress, sleep, digestion, and lifestyle determine absorption. Why women face unique challenges that must be respected, not ignored. How to monitor health without fear or obsession. This phase is not about fixing, it's about staying well. If you remember nothing else, remember this framework. Correct the cause, always. Never treat numbers without understanding why they changed. Eat predictably, not perfectly. Structure beats motivation every time. Protect absorption. Timing, digestion, and stress matter as much as nutrients. Monitor trends, not single values. One test is a snapshot. Patterns tell the truth. Partner with healthcare, don't avoid it. Prevention works best with guidance, not isolation. These 5 pillars work together. Remove one and stability weakens. Let's clear a few myths for good. It is not. Lifelong supplements for everyone, extreme diets, constant testing, living in fear of lab results. Those approaches create anxiety, not health. True maintenance feels calm, not consuming. If you've dealt with low hemoglobin before, if you felt dismissed or confused, if you've been told it's normal when it didn't feel normal, know this. You're not weak. You weren't careless. You weren't imagining it. You simply weren't given the full picture. Now you are. You don't need to act on everything today. Start with one consistent habit, one small timing change, one follow-up conversation with your doctor, one decision to listen to your body earlier next time. Health is built quietly, the same way it's lost. This brings us to the end of the hemoglobin series. 4 videos, one complete journey. From understanding gives to cause, gives to treatment, gives to prevention. If this series helped you, share it with someone who's always tired, especially women, older adults, and caregivers. Save it as a reference for future checkups. Knowledge only protects you when it's used. Thank you for trusting me through this entire series. Take care of your health, steadily, calmly, and with confidence. This journey doesn't restart. It continues, stronger than before.